The iconic ocean liner, the unsinkable Titanic, is vanishing, slowly succumbing to metal-eating bacteria beneath the ocean, more than a century after the luxury liner went down in 1912. And remarkably, it is just one of an estimated 3 million shipwrecks on the ocean floor, estimated by UNESCO. The Wilhelm Gustloff claimed the lives of around 10,000 passengers just hours after they boarded on January 30th, 1945. Well, we can't make that long video, but here are 15 of the most terrifying shipwrecks ever discovered that will make you want to stay on the dry. Let's start off with Number 15. MV Panagiotis. In 1980, the MV Panagiotis ran aground on Zakynthos Island, Greece, in what is now called Shipwreck Beach. How it got there? No one really knows, and that's what makes it fascinating. Rumors swirl that Greek authorities were chasing it for smuggling contraband cigarettes, forcing it into a deadly storm that ended in a beachside wreck. Others whisper of human trafficking ties, a theory neither confirmed nor debunked. Whatever the truth, the crew vanished, and the rusting hulk was left to fade into legend. Today, the Panagiotis sits in white sand, surrounded by towering limestone cliffs, its orange skeleton contrasting against the turquoise sea. Only accessible by boat, it draws countless tourists, though some risk too much. At least 2 people have fallen to their deaths trying to get the perfect selfie. Whether an old smuggler's ruin or a ghostly crime scene, one thing's clear. It's one of the world's most photographed shipwrecks. Number 14. Z2 Georg Thiele. In May 1940, the Z2 Georg Thiele, a Nazi destroyer, was fatally wounded during the Battle of Narvik. With 14 sailors already dead, the captain had one last move, beaching the ship in Norway's Ofot Fjord to save whoever was left. The Georg Thiele split in 2, its twisted remains are still visible today. Unlike most wrecks, it's accessible both by foot and underwater, a 30-minute hike from Narvik or a dive into history. It's one of over 60 wrecks littering the fjord, remnants of a battle that saw 45% of the Nazi naval fleet obliterated, much to Hitler's fury. Narvik, a strategic ice-free harbor, was crucial for accessing Sweden's iron supply, a wartime necessity. The town's wrecks now attract hikers, divers, and historians alike, each piece telling the story of a doomed invasion. The Georg Thiele may be rusting away, but its history refuses to sink. Number 13. The King Phillip. San Francisco's Ocean Beach hides a shipwreck that just won't stay buried. The King Phillip, a 19th century clipper, met its humiliating end in 1878 when a captain literally dropped dead mid-tow. The tugboat crew cut it loose, and within hours it was beached and doomed. After being stripped for scraps, the ocean claimed the remains, but not for long. The wreck resurfaced in 1902, then again vanished, and then reappeared again in 1982, proving that even shipwrecks have comebacks. Today, its wooden skeleton juts from the sand, visible only during low tide. King Phillip also survived 2 mutinies, was set on fire twice, and when it finally ran aground, its owners tried and failed to blow it up twice. When they finally succeeded, spectators cheered, and its metal was salvaged. What's left now? Well, not a much. A shadow of a ship that just won't stay gone, a fitting end for a vessel that refused to die quietly. Number 12. The Boyd. Unlike most shipwrecks, the Boyd is remembered less for how it sank and more for the horror that unfolded aboard. It's just terrifying. This British brigantine, active in the late 18th century, was a routine cargo ship until its fateful journey to New Zealand. Anchored in Whangaroa Harbor, the Boyd was attacked by Maori warriors in an event now known as the Boyd Massacre. The crew was slaughtered, their bodies cannibalized, and the ship looted. Then things got even worse. The gunpowder stores accidentally ignited, triggering a massive explosion that killed 10 attackers and set the entire ship ablaze. By dawn, The Boyd was reduced to charred ruins, a grim reminder of cultural misunderstandings, colonial tensions, and brutal retribution. Today, its wreckage remains lost beneath the waves, but its infamous story still echoes through history. A chilling reminder that some shipwrecks aren't just about storms and sinking. Now, let's move to number 11, Salem Express. In December 1991, the Salem Express was ferrying passengers from Jeddah to Safaga when it struck an unmapped reef in gale-force winds. The ship sank in minutes, taking at least 470 lives, many of them women and children. The captain, an experienced sailor, had been taking an unauthorized shortcut through the treacherous Hindman reefs to save 2 hours. Instead, he sealed the ferry's fate. Resting just 100 feet underwater, the wreck is both a dive site and a tomb, rumored to be haunted by those lost. Diving inside is strictly forbidden, but that hasn't stopped some from exploring the eerie remains. Suitcases, clothing, and children's toys still litter the wreck, frozen in time. Vehicles, now encrusted in coral, sit eerily intact. Those who enter illegally report a suffocating, disorienting darkness, a chilling reminder that this isn't just a wreck, it's a graveyard. The Salem Express should be explored with respect, from the outside only. Number 10, Iro Maru. Palau's Iro Maru, a 470-foot Japanese oil tanker, met its fiery end in 1944 during Operation Desecrate 1, a U.S. Navy air raid designed to cripple Japanese forces before advancing into Papua New Guinea. Now resting 120 feet below the surface, the Iro Maru sits eerily upright, as if still waiting for orders. War has long faded, but its remains tell the story. Live ammunition is still scattered across the deck, a silent warning to divers. Despite its violent demise, marine life has transformed the wreck into a vibrant reef. Schools of tropical fish, sea turtles, and coral-covered gun turrets make it a stunning dive site. The massive bow gun, aimed forever at an unseen enemy, is a stark reminder of the wreck's past. Though time and sea life have softened its war wounds, the Iro Maru remains a war grave, a sunken monument to the brutality of the Pacific theater. Number 9, USS Kittiwake. The USS Kittiwake spent 49 years saving lives, only to be deliberately sunk off the Cayman Islands in 2011, reborn as an artificial reef. Commissioned in 1945, this 251-foot submarine rescue vessel spent decades assisting Navy subs on missions. Its most famous operation? Recovering the black box from the Challenger space shuttle after the 1986 disaster. While much of its history remains classified, its final chapter is an open book, lying 65 feet beneath the waves, fully intact, waiting for divers. Inside, air tanks, bunks, and control rooms still look ready for duty. The ship's 5 decks are open for exploration, with sunlight piercing through open hatches, creating an otherworldly glow. Spotted eagle rays, barracudas, and parrotfish now patrol where sailors once worked. For a ship that spent its career bringing submariners back to the surface, it now rests permanently below, serving not the Navy, but the ocean. Number 8, Sweepstakes. The Sweepstakes, a 19th-century Great Lakes schooner, met its end in 1885 after hitting a rock near Cove Island. Badly damaged, it was towed to Big Tub Harbor but was beyond saving. Stripped of valuables, it was left to sink where it still lies today. Unlike most shipwrecks, the Sweepstakes isn't buried in the deep. Only 20 feet below the surface, its wooden hull and windlass remain incredibly intact, visible even to snorkelers. Cold, clear waters have kept it remarkably preserved, making it a favorite among divers. But this wreck comes with rules. No swimming inside or underneath. The structure is fragile, and access is strictly controlled by Parks Canada. Registered divers can explore the site from May to October, and just 100 feet away, another wreck, the city of Grand Rapids, offers more to discover. For a ship that's been submerged for over a century, the Sweepstakes still feels eerily alive in the quiet depths of Georgian Bay. Number 7. SS Antilla. In 1940, as the Netherlands fell to Germany, the SS Antilla faced a grim fate near Aruba. Dutch Marines planned to seize the vessel, but the crew had other ideas. They set it ablaze and flooded its hull, sending it to the depths before capture. The captain and crew were arrested, but the ship was already lost to the sea. Now the largest wreck in the Caribbean, the Antilla rests in just 30 feet of water, making it a popular dive site. Despite being far from a natural reef, it has become a thriving marine habitat. Lobsters, octopuses, and schools of tropical fish call it home. Unlike many wrecks, divers can legally enter, though caution is advised. Rumors swirl that the Antilla was once a supply ship for German U-boats, but multiple searches found no evidence. The ship remains an enigmatic relic of World War II, resting quietly beneath Aruba's turquoise waves. Number 6. SS Maheno. The SS Maheno started as a luxury liner before serving as a World War I hospital ship, ferrying casualties between France and England. By 1935, it was sold for scrap to Japan, but fate had other plans. A cyclone snapped its tow line off Australia's coast, leaving the Maheno stranded on Fraser Island, where it still sits today. Now a corroded skeleton of steel, the Maheno is a forbidden attraction. Officials prohibit climbing on the wreck due to its unstable structure and razor-sharp edges. Visitors can still admire it from the shore, where the rusted remains contrast eerily against the white sand and blue ocean. Despite decades of decay, the Maheno remains one of Australia's most famous shipwrecks, a rusting time capsule from both peacetime and war. What was once a ship of luxury, then a lifeline for the wounded, now slowly fades into the sand. Number 5. YOGN 42. Lanai's shipwrecked beach is named for a reason. Its treacherous currents and howling trade winds have claimed many vessels. But the YOGN 42, a World War II-era fuel tanker, wasn't sunk by nature. It was deliberately abandoned. Built from ferroconcrete due to wartime steel shortages, this unusual ship was towed to Lanai and left to the elements. Unlike most wrecks, the YOGN 42 isn't fully submerged. From the shore, it almost looks dock-ready, floating just offshore like a ship waiting for its crew. But step closer, and you'll see the ravages of time. Rust streaks, crumbling concrete, and waves battering its hollow remains. Divers don't frequent this wreck. Strong currents make it dangerous, but kayakers and hikers can view it up close. The YOGN 42 may not have perished in battle, but it stands as a wartime relic, reminding us of an era when even ships were built from concrete in the name of war. Number 4. SS Pacific. Few shipwrecks remain as shrouded in mystery as the SS Pacific. In 1856, this Collins Line steamer set sail from Liverpool to New York, carrying 45 passengers and 141 crew. It was never seen again. No wreckage, no survivors, only a bottle with a chilling message, washing ashore 5 years later in Scotland's Hebrides Islands. The note, if real, offers the only account of the disaster. Ship going down. Icebergs all around. Great confusion on board. I know I cannot escape. Did the Pacific strike an iceberg like the Titanic decades before? Or was it simply swallowed by the Atlantic, leaving no trace? The truth may never be known. Unlike most wrecks, the Pacific has never been found, making it one of the greatest disappearances in history. Whether sunk by ice, storm, or fate itself, it remains a ghost ship lost in time, its fate whispered only in waves. Number 3. Empress of Ireland. Though often overshadowed by the Titanic, the Empress of Ireland met a similarly devastating fate, and in even less time. In May 1914, the ocean liner collided with the Norwegian coal ship Storstad in the St. Lawrence River, sinking in just 15 minutes. Of the 1,477 souls aboard, 1,012 perished. Equipped with lifeboats and watertight doors, the Empress should have been safer. But water rushed in too fast, leaving no time to seal bulkheads. Worse, the ship listed so severely that only a few lifeboats could be launched. Survivors later described clinging to the hull, watching the icy waters slowly consume the ship, powerless to stop it. Today, the wreck lies 130 feet deep, a chilling dive site for those brave enough. Though less famous than the Titanic, the Empress of Ireland's loss remains one of the worst maritime disasters in North America, a grim reminder that even preparedness can fail against the sea. Number 2, Batavia. Terrifying doesn't even begin to describe what happened after the Batavia wrecked off the coast of Western Australia in 1629. Shipwrecks were common in the Age of Sail, but what followed was pure horror. Of the 322 passengers and crew, 40 drowned, while the rest found themselves stranded on a barren coral island with no fresh water and nothing to eat but seabirds. When the captain and senior officers took the ship's longboat on a 33-day journey to seek help, the survivors made the worst leadership choice possible: Hieronymus Cornelis, a company merchant with a taste for power and blood. His first move? Maroon 20 soldiers on a nearby island to die. Then he hoarded food, confiscated weapons, enslaved women, and unleashed a 2-month murder spree, killing over 110 men, women, and children. The stranded soldiers fought back, holding out until rescue arrived. Cornelis was arrested, tortured, and executed, a fitting end for one of history's worst mutineers. Number 1. Essex. The whaling ship Essex didn't just sink. It became one of the most horrifying survival stories in maritime history. In 1820, while hunting sperm whales 2,000 miles west of South America, the ship was rammed twice by an enraged whale, sending the crew into small lifeboats with little food or water. After 2 weeks adrift, desperation set in. With no water, the men resorted to drinking their own urine. Stranded on Henderson Island, they ate everything edible before setting sail again. Then came the unthinkable. As men died from starvation, the survivors began eating their fallen shipmates. Eventually, the crew drew lots to decide who would be sacrificed next. 18-year-old Owen Coffin lost, and his own crewmates killed and ate him. When the 5 surviving men were finally rescued in 1821, they had devoured at least 7 of their comrades. Their ordeal became the real-life inspiration for Moby Dick, a grim legend of man versus nature, and man versus himself. If you've enjoyed this video, be sure to like, share, and subscribe for more content like this. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you in the next one.